VO2 max gets talked about like it's a magic number for runners. And yes, it matters. But for older runners, I think there's a bigger issue. The problem isn't just whether we can improve VO2 max. The real question is, can we improve the engine without burning ourselves out? Because when you're younger, you might get away with hammering workouts, stacking hard days, and pretending recovery is optional. But as an older runner, that math changes. I'm 70 now, and I'm not trying to train like I'm 30. I'm trying to keep running strong by training smarter, recovering better, and respecting the body I have now. And later in this video, I'll share the Ageless adjustment I use to decide whether a VO2 max workout is actually helping me or just wearing me down. I'm Ralph, the Ageless runner. Around here, we believe older runners can keep improving, but not by chasing ego-based training, not by buying into no pain, no gain, and definitely not by treating walk breaks, slower running, or extra recovery as failure. We run smarter, we recover better, we stay in the game. So let's talk about VO2 max in a way that actually makes sense for older runners. VO2 max is basically the maximum amount of oxygen your body can take in, deliver, and use during hard exercise. That sounds technical, but here's the simple version. Your lungs and heart have to bring oxygen in. Your blood and circulation have to deliver that oxygen, and your working muscles have to use that oxygen to keep you moving. So VO2 max is not just one thing, it's a system. And like most systems, it's limited by the weakest link. And here's the part that matters for older runners. VO2 max does tend to decline with age, but training status makes a big difference. In a review on aging masters endurance athletes, Bircher and colleagues noted that reducing or stopping training can accelerate the drop in VO2 max compared with the more gradual decline associated with aging itself. That matters because it tells us something important. We're not helpless. But we also can't just randomly push harder and expect the number to improve. Simply running harder all the time does not guarantee better fitness. If your aerobic base is weak, harder workouts may just beat you up. If recovery is poor, you may not adapt. And if your legs are always tired, your form may fall apart before your heart and lungs ever get the training effect you were hoping for. That's where a lot of older runners get into trouble. We feel ourselves slowing down, and the instinct is to push harder. More intensity, more intervals, more proof that we've still got it. But that can become ego-based training. And ego-based training is a dangerous game when your recovery window is not what it used to be. The goal is not to prove how tough we are. The goal is to build an engine we can actually maintain. So how do we do that? I think there are three pieces: base, intensity, recovery. And for older runners, each one matters, but each one has to be handled a little differently. First, the base. Easy running is not beginner work. It is the foundation that lets you handle harder training without constantly digging a hole. Your muscles use tiny energy-producing structures called mitochondria to help turn oxygen into usable energy during endurance exercise. Regular aerobic exercise helps support mitochondrial function as we age. That is why easy running still matters. It may not look impressive. It may not produce a big number on your watch, but it helps you build the aerobic system that supports everything else. And for me, One Rock Run is part of that system. It helps me control effort, protect form, and stay consistent without turning every run into a test. Because you do not build a better engine from one heroic workout. You build it from training you can repeat week after week. Second, intensity. Yes, older runners still need to challenge the system sometimes. VO2 max responds to higher intensity work. In a systematic review and meta-analysis, Cert and colleagues found that appropriately applied, high-intensity interval exercise can improve VO2 peak and cardiometabolic health in older adults. But appropriately applied is the key phrase. That means controlled. That means dosed carefully. And it does not mean turning every interval session into an all-out test. For older runners, VO2 max work should feel challenging but not reckless. You might use controlled intervals. You might use short hills. You might use fartlek style pickups. You might even use Run Rock Run around the workout to manage the total stress. The goal is not to crawl home destroyed. The goal is to spend a little controlled time near the top of your aerobic system, then recover well enough for your body to adapt. That is the difference between training and punishment. And third, recovery. Recovery is not what happens after training. Recovery is part of training. I've said that many times. The workout sends a signal. Recovery is where the body answers. Sleep matters. Nutrition matters. Easy days matter. Walk breaks matter. And spacing out hard workouts matter. Recovery is individual. It is not as simple as saying every older runner always recovers more slowly from every workout. In fact, Houghton-Rott and colleagues compared younger and master athletes after different high-intensity interval training workloads and found that well-trained master athletes did not necessarily show worse recovery than younger athletes in that sample. But that does not mean recovery is optional. It means we need to pay attention to how our own body responds. Demanding interval sessions create stress. That stress has to be absorbed before the next hard effort. And for older runners, recovery has to be planned, not hoped for. It does not mean we are fragile. It means we have to be smarter. There's a big difference. At 70, I don't ask, how much intensity can I survive? I ask, how much intensity can I benefit from? That brings us to the ageless adjustment. Here it is. Instead of asking, how hard can I push today? Ask, what is the smallest dose of intensity that gives me a benefit without stealing from the rest of my week? That question changes everything. Because if you do a VO2 max workout and then your next 2 or 3 runs are ruined, was that really a good workout? Maybe not. But if you do a control workout, recover well, and come back ready to run again, that's training. That's how you stay in the game. And that's how older runners keep improving. So there's a practical way to think about it. Most of your running should still support the base. Easy running. 1 walk run if that helps you control effort. Longer aerobic work when your body is ready for it. Then occasionally layer in intensity. Not because you're trying to prove anything, but because your engine still needs to be challenged. And after that, protect recovery like it is part of the workout, because it is. That's the system. Build the base, touch intensity, recover enough to adapt. And repeat that cycle without letting ego take over. VO2 max matters, but for older runners, the real goal is not just chasing a number on a watch. The goal is to keep the engine strong while protecting the body that carries it. Train for the runner you are now, not the runner you were 30 years ago. And that's not giving up. That's adapting. That's what I'm trying to show in real time on this channel. I'm an older runner learning how to keep running strong without pretending I'm 30. And if that's the kind of running journey you're on too, I'd love to have you subscribe. This channel is for older runners who want to run smarter, recover better, and stay in the game. And if this video helped you, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. Are you currently doing any high-intensity training? Or are you mostly focusing on easy running right now? I'd really like to know how you're approaching this. Until next time, run smarter, go longer, stay ageless.